Well, welcome back from break. I am Tammy Ebright, and this is my story of resilience and kind of who I am. My resilience actually started about at this age. My mom and dad divorced when I was 4, and we moved away. My mom and I, we moved away with her new husband to Kansas City. So I was born in a small town in Missouri called Windsor. And when I was 4, we moved to Kansas City, and I watched her for many years go through abuse, physical, mental, emotional, all of that. And, that was really hard. When I was 15, I said, I can't watch this anymore. And I left her, putting your hand on your heart whenever you have the microphone on. I left and I moved in with my father. And it was sad, it was sad to watch her, hiding in the backyard and us being almost run over by a car. It was crazy. So, at 15, I moved out and I moved in with my father and told her, if you leave, then, I'm always there for you, because she was a young mom. It's not that anything was intentional. It just was, she didn't know. She had me at 17, and she loved me, but she felt we were more peers than a mother-daughter relationship. And I kind of raised her a little bit. And I don't do that anymore. No more raising of anybody but my children. But it was a lesson that I didn't really uncover until much later, actually within the last year, as I coached with Jody. Jody is actually my coach. So from there, she ended up meeting another person. And before that, so when she did leave the second husband and moved to Kansas City, back to Kansas City, because we had moved back into the small town for a little bit, he was also abusive. He was actually an alcoholic. And he would come home and flip the furniture over. And it was just, again, it was so hard. So at 17, actually I waited until I turned 17, knowing that the law in Missouri would allow me to be on my own. Nobody could make me come back. I dropped out of school, ran away from home, and was going to do things my own way. And that didn't work out so well in a lot of ways, but it's my story, and it's all a lesson. And it's all a lesson of building resilience. Like, we all are resilient. We're here. Just getting here shows your resilience. And, I really think that you have to be appreciative of that and grateful to yourself for stepping out of your comfort zone. Because I know a lot of you are newer widows, and that had to be really hard. So thank you for coming and experiencing this with us. So this is me at 18, and it's still going to autoplay, it looks like. And then this is my husband. And he was so amazing with kids. Like, all the kids loved him. He was the nurturer. I'm the worker. Like, I like to work. That's why I was able to do a lot of this, is because I'm kind of a workhorse. So learning to be more of a nurturer has been harder. So will it be better if I just like point at you? Or do you think it's just going to go?
It's going to auto-advance on itself. I'll just hit it back.
Okay. So these are the things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I met him. And we had a crazy love story. Like an amazing, hard, crazy love story. He's my crazy love, for sure. And we had 2 amazing children. And this is our first vacation as a family here in Orlando, actually. Going to Disney, Hunter eating the sand. She's at the beach right now. And I said, "Did you eat the sand?" She's like, "No, Mom, I haven't done that in a long time." She's 9. And this is a picture of us, or of them, because there was, we didn't think of selfieing at the time, in San Antonio for our last family vacation. So actually, those are the only 2 family vacations we experienced together. And the kids love it. Like, they still talk about going back to Texas. And, I have a lot of Texas sisters here, so I do understand and love my Texas, too. So, yeah, it was really, really amazing. So our children, they teach us 3 things. To be happy for no reason, to wear our crowns, play and be adventurous, and to fight tirelessly for things that we want, and to step out of our comfort zones. Last night, when I was talking to my daughter on the phone, she's like, "What kind of souvenir did you get me, Mom?" I'm like, "Oh my God. Really, Hunter? Like, I haven't seen you in almost 2 weeks, and you're talking." And I'm like, "Stop. Like, she's going to be a great salesperson, let me tell you. She's going to be good." And so I was in appreciation for her and for that. At first, I was like, but then I was like, yeah, she's kind of a mini me. This is us. So the middle picture is us, the Christmas right after he died. So David died of a sudden heart attack on November 19th of 2012. We had been at the lake for the weekend, moving out of a little home that we had there, and we were hurrying along to my aunt's and had a flat tire on the trailer and didn't know it, so we messed up the tire. And so we got to my aunt's and quickly got ready, and we couldn't drive home that night because 1, we had the flat tire, and 2, he had drank. And my husband was an alcoholic. In 6 weeks before he died, I was ready to leave him. God spoke to me and asked me to try again. So I wrote out a list of the things that I wanted. And I was in the car, and I went inside, and I said, I want to go to church as a family. Because he had been raised in church, and he wouldn't have anything to do with that. Not that he didn't believe in God, but he had just lost his way. Really, he had lost his way. So, that, and I want you to go to AA. I want to go to Al-Anon and counseling, and I want us to be a happy family. And the next day, we went to church. And flashback for just a minute, when I met him, he was a male stripper. And he was hot. I mean, he was hot. And the music at church was too loud for him. Really? And so he's at church complaining that the music is too loud. But we were there. So I wrote on the prayer request, please help my husband with his alcoholism. And his dad had been on dialysis for about 2.5 years and was on a waiting list to get a kidney. And I wrote on that, the prayer request for him to get that. And you know what? That night, he got his kidney. Freaking crazy stuff, Like ask and you shall receive. So we tried. And we really tried. And it was pretty good. Was it what I really wanted, needed, and deserved? No. He was still drinking. He was just hiding it. I can't believe I'm here telling you guys all this. But, again, it's my story. And it's my story of resilience. And why it's important to listen to your intuition. It's important. So the night that he died, he was at, So let's talk about the 6 weeks first. So he started going to Bible study. And I got this amazing letter after he died from one of his very close friends talking about how frustrating he was in Bible study and how he was just questioning everything. And they was so frustrated with him. But that was who he was. He wanted to question things. He taught me so much. We had our stuff together, our will and trust, because of him, not because of me. Now everybody else has it in order because of me. No, say and do this. So he went to Bible study, and I feel like he got close to God. And I think that was a big part of that purpose and why it was important for us. And for him, and gosh, how bad it would have been if he had left that day instead, The picture up there is of us last year, right before we went to the empowerment or the leadership training. And this is just me and the kids since. David died suddenly at my dad's house in Sedalia. It's a Monday night, so we went to my aunt's Sunday. He drove us home Monday morning. And on the way home, I was thinking, he's still drinking. What am I going to do? It was a really weird day, surreal. And you just can't explain it. I don't know if other people felt that the day that their husbands died. But it was really surreal. I worked from home, and he did his laundry and packed his bag and was going back to my dad's because he had to fix the tire on the trailer and get that all together. So he was going to hunt for a couple days. And I got a phone call at 10:30 at night, 10:35 actually, from my bonus mom saying that he wasn't breathing. I was like, what? And we hadn't talked since like 4 o'clock when I was picking my son up from school. I'm like, oh, okay, let me get my stuff together and find somebody for the kids, and let me call his parents, and I'm on my way. Okay, I'm on my way. And so I call his parents and tell them, and then she calls me back and she says, don't drive alone. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Okay, not driving alone. So I called my best friend, and she didn't answer, and her husband did answer, and he came because they actually thought I was talking about his dad, because his dad had been the one that had been sick, you know? And I get there, and I had just received the last call saying that there was nothing that they could do. Like, no, we could keep working on him. Keep trying. Can't. It's been too long. And what the coroner said was, it was just a massive heart attack. And there was nothing that they could do. And even if he had been in the hospital, he would have just gone. He just was that quick. What I learned after was one of his grandpas died at 54, the other one at 48, and his dad had had quadruple bypass about 1.5 years before he died. I really feel like he knew, but I'll never know that. I think he was so broken, he was just ready to go whenever he could go. And there was a lot of guilt around that story. But what I found is with Modern Widows Club is that all of our stories can help somebody else. So I hope that that part of my story will help somebody in this room or somebody down the road. Can you push play on that? You'll have to push it on her little video. This is my daughter.
Every time I snap my fingers, my shirt got changed.
This is how I know I'm resilient, right? Like this is like I don't always feel that way, although I know I gotta be because there's been this is a short, dense version of my story, let me tell you. But this tells me, she drew this for me, keep calm and love on. Keep calm and be you. Your awesome life, you know? And what I want for my future is to be leaning into love and still reaching back and honoring my past. And that is, I look forward to one day loving again. I really do. This is some more pictures of her. She is a character. And then them and then her. This is last night. I'm exhausted, but we're FaceTiming. She likes to FaceTime, and it's pretty cool. And unfortunately, the picture did not it got the volume inside it, but her little faces that she makes to me on FaceTime are just like hilarious. I love it. And then this is my son, Dakota. He'll be 15 in a month. And he is strong and resilient too. Like, he's a leader. I watch him on the football field. And if somebody gets hurt and they're supposed to take a knee, he will be the one that is pushing the crowd back and going down and having his teammates. Like, he is a natural leader. She is a natural leader. And I am so proud that I get to be their parents. This is our family. That's David's mom and dad. She actually lost his dad. And I was a mentor to my husband's mother on what to do at the funeral home. And, this is what you need and this is what you don't need. And the experience for her was very different with the funeral home. They wanted to talk to her afterwards, which they never asked me. And I think it's because she was older than I was, a 40 widow versus a 65 widow, I guess, about, burial and things like that. I was like, no. And they were pushy. Like, when you're done with the funeral, what day can we schedule? Really? It was weird. We had a lot of happy, amazing times, and I am so grateful for them, for sure. Like, I still have the two best parts every day. Love yourself. Don't let others' behavior destroy your inner peace. Like the elephant in the room. Share your story. Be an advocate. Be who you are. If you don't feel like sharing your story, don't. If you do, please. People get uncomfortable, and that's on them. It's not yours. Modern Widows Club. For sure, you cannot do epic shit with basic people. There's nobody basic in this room. Find your tribe and love them hard. It's funny. Last night I was so exhausted. This has been a big thing to help put on. And I was walking by, and I seen the amazing Seattle crew, and Cindy says, wow, you're just so different than you were just 2 years ago at that first leadership event that we went to. And there were so many of the leaders that were here this weekend that were at that event. And it's because I was so broken still. It really took giving back, stepping into leadership, co-leading a chapter to help me come back, not to who I was, because I am so much better than that girl. So much better. I'm strong, confident, and direct, but empathetic and compassionate, and I love my widows, sisters. I just do, and helping, and seeing, and listening. I love all of that. Do I get overwhelmed in myself into way too much? I really do. People enter our lives for a reason, or for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And you're going to learn as newer widows, not everybody that was in your life or is in your life will always be in your life. And that's okay, because there is so much love around. Please make sure that you guys are connecting, exchanging information, and staying in touch after this event, because we heal each other, and we empower each other. It's part of it. I wish there was visiting hours in heaven. I miss him. Believe in yourself. Be you. That's it. That's my story. Thank you for listening. I guess I should go ahead and introduce the next amazing person, Miss Joanne Fink. Joanne probably needs no introduction as well. She is an amazing lady, and I am so grateful that I had time this trip to spend time with her.
I want this on the other side. Am I mic'd? I guess so. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Orlando, which is my hometown now. I grew up in Philadelphia, moved to Long Island after I married my husband, who was from Long Island. And we moved down here, let's see, my daughter will be 23 next week, so we moved down here 24 years ago. And I am so thrilled that you guys are here. And I wanted to share a little bit about my journey from grief to gratitude, but I need tech support first. I don't know where the clicker is. Got it. Okay. Hopefully I will push the slides in the right direction. So, for those of you who I don't know, I am a designer and love color, as you can tell by my jacket and by your rainbow name badges. Oh, look at that. I can see what I'm doing down there. That is wonderful. I was going to do this the whole time. This is terrific. Okay, so my journey from what I call grief to gratitude started 6 years and 2 days ago when my husband took a nap, had a heart attack while he was sleeping, and never woke up. My life ended that day and began again. And since then, it has been a really long journey. Andy and I were married for 29 years, and I never wrote a check before he died. We had a real traditional, male-female role model. I cooked, he did the books, and the last few years have been the biggest education of my entire life. And one of the things I've learned is that we possess inside an incredible strength. And when you are forced to be strong, it's there. And the first year, probably even the first 2 years, I was so dysfunctional that I wasn't really able to move forward with my life. I was too busy surviving. How many of you lost your husband to sudden death? Lots. I think the challenge with sudden death is that you don't get to say goodbye. And the blessing with sudden death is that you don't have to watch someone you love suffer. Both of them are rotten. So I've always been involved in art. And after Andy died, I did not pick up a pen for months. And when I did, I would start every morning by writing in my journal when you lose someone you love. And then I would fill in how I felt that day. In the beginning, I felt shattered. And as the months went on, I felt a little bit more hopeful. And I think the tree drawing is one that I did towards the end of that first year. Each person's grief journey is totally unique, and what I would like to do is get 4 or 5 people to tell me how grief feels to you, and I'm going to letter that. Any volunteers? Purposeful. Okay, we will try purposeful. Which feels very deliberate. I know that after Andy died, I was scared. Lost. Angry. Angry is a really good one. That deserves red. Wait. I can only write so fast. I don't remember what someone said after angry. Alone. I think alone. Action. I would call that empowered. But we can do action, which I'm doing like this because we're leaping forward into action. And if we had more time, I would letter a word for each of you. But since I only have half an hour, and I timed this at 29 and a half minutes, we will move on. So each person's grief journey is different. And I want to share some lessons that I've learned on my journey. I think that when we make a practice of trying to be grounded in gratitude, which I know is an ongoing theme you guys have heard all day, it really helps us. And one of the things that new studies have shown is that people who are inherently grateful are healthier, live longer, happier. There are a lot of benefits to growing in gratitude. And so I wanted to take a few minutes, and I guess I'd like to ask how many of you keep a gratitude list at this point? Okay, not that many, so I want to share 4 easy things that you can do to grow in gratitude. The first is look for the blessings. And after I finished about a year and a half after writing When You Lose Someone You Love and answering that question for myself every day, I ran out of things to say about it. And then I started doing what I call my morning journals. And so these pictures are pictures of some of my morning journals. And I think I have made a lifelong practice of looking for the blessing in every situation, especially the difficult ones. And I'll give you a couple examples from my own life. When Andy died, I spent that whole first week thanking God that he didn't die on Jonathan's birthday, which is August 5th. And Jonathan is turning 18 today, so I'm taking him out to dinner. I do not know how he got to be 18. And I thank God that Andy didn't suffer. And I think looking for the blessing in the midst of devastation requires that you reframe the conversation you're having in your head. from the negative to the positive. And it takes practice. But another blessing that Thursday, was the 6th angelversary for our family. And I had dinner with my kids, and I just looked at them and felt such intense gratitude because Andy was primary caregiver for my kids. I used to travel a lot for my work. Having the last 6 years gotten to really be hands-on parent with my children, even when they were teenagers, was just an amazingly wonderful experience that as much as I want Andy back, I am so grateful that I'm close with my kids, and I'm a little petrified about being an empty nester next month. A gratitude journal. So the scientific studies show that if you write down 3 things that you are grateful for 21 days, it becomes a habit. It lowers your blood pressure. It makes you happier. If you are flailing, if you are not where you want to be in your grief journey, I encourage you to do this. When I was in Philadelphia in June, and I gave the first version of the Journey from Grief to Gratitude, there was a lady in the front row who shared that she had trouble getting out of bed in the morning. And I said, on your list, then you can write down, I'm thankful that I got out of bed, because we are all at different places in our journeys, and wherever you are, find something to be thankful for, because there are always blessings. If you have never kept a gratitude journal, these are 2 samples from mine. I often get up and say, thank you, God, for the amazing gift of this new day. I'm a person who walks in faith, but if you're not a faith-based person, you can just be thankful for the gift of the day. We have 4 core needs as human beings: food, shelter, clothes, and physical air, water, things that take care and nurture our bodies. And so when I first started keeping a gratitude list, I would go through what I'm thankful for: my eyes to see, my legs to walk, my ears to hear. And then when I really focused on all the blessings that I have physically, I moved on to my friends and family and the people in my life, some of whom are in this room, that have really mattered to me and make a difference in my life, and I am so grateful for. And I'm talking specifically to my Wisters from my Seminole County chapter who just rock. And then go on to the things. I love my work. I love my art supplies. I love my books. Carolyn, I am not parting with any books. I am sorry. I love each and every one of them, and so I see we have changed fonts, and appreciation is not on one line, but the third thing that you can do is express appreciation. Not only be thankful, but tell people that you're thankful. Ellen, I am so, so grateful that you printed all these badges. Ellen is not only my friend, but my printer. And she donated the printing for the badges and the program cover, and we love you and we appreciate you. And I am so thankful for all my Wisters. You guys have made a huge difference in my life, and I thank you for being here and for what you do to pay it forward. One of the things, the real core thing that makes a difference is volunteering. As I wrote in my journal, it's in helping others that we often heal ourselves. And I think this is true for many reasons, one of which is when you're doing good work in the world, whether it's volunteering at a soup kitchen or in a shelter for battered women, whatever, find your passion. If you love animals, go volunteer for the SPCA. If you love food, do the soup kitchen. Find a way of making a difference because A, gets you out of the house, B, it connects you with people, 3, really makes you appreciate the fact that you are not as disadvantaged. Grieving and disadvantaged are two different things. You're not as disadvantaged as other people in the world. And I have an acronym which you can sort of see in there for being a light in the world, where light stands for love, inspire, give, heal, and transform. Because when we reach out in love and we inspire by example, by giving from our hearts, we not only help heal the people we're giving to, we help heal ourselves, and that is when transformation occurs. And part of being on this endless journey is transforming ourselves. I am not the same person that I was 6 years and 2 days ago. I know you are not the same people that you were before your loss. One of the blessings of having this life-shattering experience is that we get to reinvent ourselves and re-envision what we want for our futures. And it's a painful privilege, but take advantage of it because we didn't have a choice in this, but we can choose our attitude and our response to it. I would like very much to tell you something that I am working on my grief journey and ask your help in volunteering. I'm enrolling you in my new mission. I want to change the culture of grief support in America. How many of you guys, and I know that Tammy mentioned this just a few minutes ago, feel that there were people you thought would be there that didn't really show up? How many of you experienced that after loss? I would say that's the entire room. And you know, I'll share what happened to me. I have a friend who has a house in Costa Rica and had volunteered to let Andy and me stay in her house for our 30th wedding anniversary. And it came to be my 30th wedding anniversary, and nobody said anything to me. Not my parents, not my in-laws, not my children, not my friends. And I was devastated. And when I stopped crying a few days later, I realized nobody said anything to me because they didn't want to upset me. Well, I was already upset. You know, it was my 30th wedding anniversary, the first one I'd ever spent without my husband, and nobody seemed to care in my mind. And more than that, nobody gave me the opportunity to celebrate the 29 years that we had been together and to share his legacy and the light that still lives in my heart. And since then, you know, because that was within my first year, obviously, since then, I've talked with hundreds of people who've experienced loss who basically tell me the same thing, that the people they thought would be there don't show up. And I'm really sure that this is because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. And so they don't come because they don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't understand there isn't anything that you can say. You can't bring our loved ones back. Just be there with us. Give us a hug, if we want hugs. Listen. Show up. And so I'm on this mission to change the culture of grief support in America. The only problem is, I don't know how to talk to people who aren't grieving. I only know how to talk to people that are on this side of what I call the Great Divide, meaning we've had a catastrophic loss. So I'm enrolling you guys, and what I would like you to do is talk to your support system. There are some really simple things that people can do. One of them is, how many of you are within the first 2 years of widowhood? So this is particularly directed at you. God bless you. Let people know that grieving is a very long and lonely process. And don't expect them to get it if they have not had a profound loss, but expect them to be there for you and tell them that don't ask me, how are you? Ask me, how are you today? How are you this week? How are you doing after Bill's birthday? Time face it, because that's a way they can let you know that you're not okay. And you're not okay. I'm still not okay. This is a hard weekend. And looking at my son and realizing he's now had a third of his life without his father. He doesn't really even remember his father that much, and that just breaks my heart. But he's a great kid. And taking him out to Kobe's for his annual birthday dinner. So I would like to open a dialogue about what we need in terms of support. And you guys can have that conversation with your friends and family. And plan ahead for firsts. Firsts are hard. I'll tell you, holidays and anniversaries are hard. No matter how far out you get, they're still hard. But in the first, few years, change it up, plan ahead, be with people that nurture you and make you feel loved. In terms of a specific gratitude practice, I wanted to share what I do for myself, besides not setting type well. And I will share with you that I am in the process of finishing. I have a Zenspirations font that I just finished, so I set this all in the Zenspirations font, but I forgot to bring the font, which Cheryl doesn't have on her computer, so it doesn't look right. But so I believe in creating new meaningful rituals, and that they help us stay grounded, and my goal is to stay grounded in gratitude. And over the last 6 years, well, 5.5, because I didn't start this until a few months after Andy died, I have vacillated in my willpower to do this, but when I do this, I am much more grounded. And by this, I mean, I wake up generally with a prayer of thanksgiving on my lips, which I would do anyway, but then I do not grab my cell phone, and I do not grab my iPad, and I do not go check my email. Instead, I read something spiritual or uplifting or scripture, and then I put pen to paper, because for me, the interaction of ink on paper is very healing. That's me. For some people, meditation works. I can't sit still long enough to meditate myself, but what I do when I draw puts me in that mindfulness state. It's different for each of us. Each of our grief journeys are different, and each of what brings us healing and grounding is probably different, but I'm sharing for those of you who are on the creative side. Trudy, I know that you're crafty. This is what I do, and I hope that it will help you find your own ritual practice that is meditative and healing. So I get up, I read, I journal, and I also, within the last couple years, have made 2 major decisions. And this is the page that I wrote when I decided to do this. I don't know what's going on in your life and your heart and your circumstances more than you know what's going on in mine, and so I decide to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, because I know that however anyone responds and reacts to me has less to do with me than it does to do with what's happening for them. So I believe the best of everybody. If someone doesn't call me back, maybe they didn't get the message. You know, if someone is late, which is usually me, you know, then they got stuck in traffic. I try to be as forgiving to other people as I would like them to be for me. And a big change for me has been nurturing my body. I gave up eating white sugar and white flour and gluten a couple years ago, and meat and chicken and stuff. I still eat fish. I have a Fitbit, and I'm a total stepaholic. And you're looking at somebody who was totally sedentary for the first 54 years of her life. And I do mean totally sedentary. And so one of the blessings for me is I can walk. And I had a spinal fusion 3 years ago, and I couldn't walk before that. And so the fact that I'm standing here and I'm talking to you and I can walk, this is a huge blessing, and I am profoundly grateful for it. And because of that, I want to take care of my body. So these are some examples of some of my dozens and dozens and dozens of morning journals, because when you draw every day, you wind up with piles of them, and I have no idea where to put them. I need a bigger house. So I wanted to share with you, because most of my work is uplifting and inspiring on purpose. I call what I do Zenspirations, in part because I get in a Zen-like state when I draw, and in part because I include inspirational content. But I'm not always in a good frame of mind, and I wanted to share some pages from earlier on. Can you guys read this? Okay, then I won't try and read it for you. Because however you are feeling is how you are feeling. Those of us in Orlando probably remember this more so than the rest of the country, but we had the Pulse massacres here about 14 months ago. And in the aftermath of that, there was a wonderful workshop for grief facilitators that I was invited to go to. And because I was new with, you know, co-leading the Seminole County chapter, I haven't had any experience in grief support. I'm not a therapist, I'm an artist. And so I wanted some training, and this was just a wonderful experience being with other lay leaders in ministry in learning how to reach out to people who are grieving. And one of the things that the facilitator shared is that grief is a 3-year process when you get around to doing it. And if you avoid doing it, then it's still going to be a 3-year process whenever you get there. And I know the first couple years that after Andy died, I was literally in survival mode. And I feel like I'm grieving right now. I'm doing the hard work of feeling my feelings. And I don't want to feel these feelings. They're not happy feelings. But I know I cannot lean into life and move forward with the person I'm growing into becoming unless I actually feel my feelings. So I write down how I feel, good or bad. These are some of the things that I've written more recently. This is my almost daily prayer. Dear God, please bless those I love and those they love, because I figure that encompasses just about everyone that I care about and their sphere of influence. And it's just a few short words. And so I pray prayers of thanks, and this is a prayer of petition, and I include all of you in asking God's blessing upon you. A lot of times my morning journals evolve into finished pieces. And so this is one example. This is a page from my 2019 Zenspirations calendar. I haven't even seen the 2018 one yet. But these are notes that I wrote to myself or to my daughter. This one actually happens to be one I wrote to Sam. And then I wind up sharing them with people. I usually do a breathing exercise, but since we already did that, I won't do a breathing exercise, but breathing is so important. When you are feeling stressed, don't forget to breathe. Just those 3 connective breaths make a huge, huge difference. One of the things I wrote a couple years ago is that challenges force our souls to grow in new directions. And I know that I wouldn't be here talking to you guys if Andy hadn't died. I wouldn't be doing a lot of things these days, but I'm trying to make meaning and make a difference and keep his legacy alive. You know, when I hear Carolyn talk about Chad, who I never had the privilege of knowing, and I think about how many thousands of people know Chad because you are his living legacy, Carolyn. And I want people to know what an amazing man Andy was. And by the way, his last name was not Fink, it was Tratner. So I have used the last name Tratner more often in the last 6 years than at any time before then, because it's confusing when you have a different last name than your children and you're the only parent. But what I have learned on my journey is that every ending leads to new beginnings. And for my new friend who has an iPad and the Apple Pencil, I did this one in the iPad. And I just want to share with you that at the end of today, a new journey begins, and you get to choose how you move forward. And I wrote this piece on the right for my daughter when she was having exam meltdown at some point. But I think that this is true about all of us. You are stronger than you know. You are more capable than you ever dreamed, and you are greatly loved. And I am so glad that you are here, and I want to send the love out, and I want to let you know my publisher very graciously donated 1,000 copies of my book that are the excerpts from my grief journals that I kept after Andy died, to the Modern Widows Club. And we are going to use them as fundraisers. And I think they're selling them. They're $9.99, or I don't know what they're selling them for, but they're supposed to. $10. So we don't have to do penny change. But I wanted to. No shipping. I wanted to let you know that I will be here tomorrow, and if you would like me to sign a book for you and personalize, if you want to gift it to someone, or if you want me to put your loved one's name in it, I would be happy to do that tomorrow. So did I make it in 29.5 minutes? Ah, bummer. But thank you guys.